And now being 3 p.m., we can call the November 20th meeting of the Laconia Police Commission to order, and would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? And Brother Mello, would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let the minutes show that the Executive Assistant Lori A. Marsh is recording secretary, and also let the minutes show that Commissioners Woodham, Mello, and Tar are all present. And I'd like to recognize the staff present, Chief Matthew Canfield, Captain Alan Grayton, and Captain Michael Finogle. We have a quorum, and then we will move on with the November 20th meeting agenda. Personnel matters, Chief Canfield, accommodations and awards.
Nothing.
Resignations and retirements, Chief Canfield.
We had one resignation. Cheryl DeTurk will be leaving us as an administrative assistant. She was moving to, I believe, New Mexico. So she submitted a resignation effective December 20th. We've advertised for the position, and the applications close on Monday, so we'll be looking to replace her in time to allow a 2-week window to overlap and do some training in her job duties.
Did we find a replacement for the other person in dispatch that retired last month, wasn't it? Ialuna?
We haven't gone through the backgrounds yet. We did do a process. The backgrounds aren't quite complete yet, so that's still in the works.
So whoever's left, chief, will have, there's enough resources in the dispatching area and also the admin area to
Yeah.
carry on until
There
we
is.
get replacements?
There is. Captain Finogle's been working on the plan for that, the recruitment, and I think the backgrounds are nearing completion for the dispatch position. So I think we'll be in a good position.
Promotions and classification changes, Chief Canfield.
Nothing?
Command staff reports, Captain Grayton.
As the chief just talked about Cheryl's position, I've received 4 resumes so far, and they have until noontime on Monday to submit a cover letter and resume. And then we'll go through those and we'll do an interview and see where we go from there.
In a full-time?
It's a full-time position, yes. Our radio system is getting closer to completion. They've got all the equipment staged at the PD. Everything's staged up at the hospital now. Next week, they're gonna stage all the radio equipment up at Parade Road and then work on the water tower in the weirs from there. So that's coming to completion. Hopefully, January 1st, we'll be able to flip the switch on that, and we'll get that switched over to that new system. So we have been having problems with the radio system recently in the past few days, phone lines and such, so those have been taken care of, but it's just another reason we need to get this done as quickly as possible. Budget's looking on track, and we are working on replacing car 9 that was a deer strike that got totaled. The chief was able to find a municipal supply company down in Massachusetts that had a SUV that we could purchase to replace that. The other 3 that we purchased through Capital, we're still waiting to figure out exactly when those are coming in. Last I checked a couple of weeks ago, they still hadn't been assigned VIN numbers, so they weren't in the build yet.
Insurance will cover that, the deer hit one, is that?
No.
No.
We get some money from the insurance company for that, but the rest we're gonna have to make up in our budget
Was it?
to replace that car.
Questions? Operations Division, Captain Finogle.
Right now, we're working on a operations plan to support the Light Up Laconia event that's changed the route, and it's gonna be down at Rotary Park right now, so we get more than enough officers to help handle that. Hirings, we're still going through backgrounds with 3 potential candidates, strong candidates for hire. So those backgrounds, I think one of them just got completed, and we're waiting for 2, actually 2 were completed, and 1 is still in the process. If everything goes well, they'll be on board by January 6th. and start their training with an academy date, hopefully in May. That's it.
Questions?
Where does that leave us in terms of overall staffing,
That would be full staff.
full staffing?
We actually have in that too, I have two hires for the summertime. If, you know, that, if we did have a vacancy, we have a backup this time. We have people in the pipeline.
Good. Acceptance of minutes from the previous meeting. Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes of the last meeting.
Second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
On a motion by Commissioner Mello and seconded by Commissioner Tar, passes unanimously, and the meeting minutes of October 16th were accepted as distributed. Review of monthly activity reports, the monthly highlights. Chief Canfield.
So for the month of October, we responded to a total of 1,702 calls for service, investigated 351 criminal offenses, cleared 177 criminal offenses by arrest, making a total of 110 physical custody arrests. Issued 53 parking tickets, 2 DWI arrests, and took 30 people into custody for intoxication. We responded to a total of 35 domestic disturbance calls, 80 other disturbance calls, 5 suicidal subjects, and 5 violation restraining orders. Volunteer hours for members of the Laconia Police Department totaled 6, while the Victim Services Unit, which is all volunteers, donated a total of 27.25 hours serving 9 different victims of crime.
Question? No? Okay, moving on to the Criminal Investigative Unit statistics. Chief Canfield.
For the month of October, they investigated 12 initial cases, conducted 12 follow-up cases, made 1 felony arrest, initiated 1 felony charge, issued 5 search warrants, cleared 2 cases exceptionally, cleared 1 case by unfounded means, conducted 21 sex offender registrations, 2 background investigations, 5 drug intel sheets, conducted 6 polygraph exams, and 80 hours of training, along with 29 body-worn camera redactions for the legal division.
Questions? All right, moving on to monthly traffic statistics. Chief Canfield.
So for the month of October, we issued a total of 53 parking tickets, responded to a total of 45 accidents, 10 of which were with injury. The causes of the accidents were, the number 1 cause was failure to yield, which was tied with unsafe backing, followed by the other category, followed by following too closely. Accident breakdown by streets. The number 1 location for accidents for the month was South Main Street, followed by Union Avenue and Meredith Center Road. We conducted a total of 317 motor vehicle stops, which was up very significantly from October of last year, which was at 197. For the month of October, we issued 28 motor vehicle summonses and 252 motor vehicle warnings. Speaking of motor vehicle enforcement, Captain Funogel's been working with the highway safety grants, which will be starting soon, a combination of distracted driving and DWI enforcement. He's been working along with Chris Noyes, and they've put together a really good plan to really utilize this grant money to really boost traffic enforcement and identify problem areas of the city that need some attention, whether it's hands-free distracted driving or any of the other motor vehicle complaint areas that we know are problem areas. So they'll be working to specifically address those areas with that grant money.
Questions? Moving on, monthly fleet report. Chief Canfield.
Nothing unless you have any questions.
And budget printouts, Captain Grant, you referred to that issue already. Things look good.
Yes.
Just to follow up on that, is there you guys have a budget presentation coming up next month, or is it?
No, we have to have our budget submitted second week in December to finance, and then I think they'll schedule the presentations from there.
Correspondence to and from the department, Chief Canfield.
We had several nice thank you letters. One in particular was for a house check that we conducted. A thank you letter from the Holy Trinity School for the auction that we participated in, as well as a funeral service that we attended.
Chief's report, Chief Canfield.
I'd like to start off by first thanking Captain Grayton for he mentioned the radio system. This has been almost a 2-year project and a very significant amount of work that he's undertaken in addition to his other duties. It's become very laborious as far as working with the several different vendors, in particular one of them that there are a lot of requirements that I don't think anyone saw coming. Just an incredible amount of work that he's put into it. I get copied on the emails, and every day there's at least a handful of emails back and forth and looking for permissions and other things that come up, and it's just been a ton of work on his part, but very thankful to all the work he's put into that, and happy that it's coming to a completion, and certainly something that's very needed, and certainly very thankful to the commission and the city council, Councilor Cheney, for pushing that project forward before we suffered a catastrophic failure with our current radio system. And knowing the amount of work this has taken to transition to the new system, I'm just very glad that we were able to do it before the other one failed, because we would be in a lot of hot water if we had waited and the other one failed, because there's no short-term or quick fix to it. So I just want to say thank you to Captain Grayton. I also want to say thank you to Captain Finogle for the work he's done on all the recruitment. It's kind of one of those areas that is easily overlooked and I think underappreciated. But when he puts together the process for whether it's civilian staff or sworn police officers, it's an amazing amount of work that comes into it with putting together the written tests, the recruitment events, the actual interview processes, the backgrounds, just many, many, many hours, and his diligence and work on that is very appreciated, and he's sought after candidates that probably would have gone to agencies in the southern part of the state, and if it wasn't for his hard work in enticing them and letting them know how good Laconia is and what a great place this is, I think we wouldn't have the quality applicants we have now, and certainly it's very, very encouraging to know that we have the applicants that are currently in the background process are really good candidates, and that we're going to be full staffed here, knock on wood, the beginning of December. So that's a nice feeling, and to have, 1 or 2 candidates in the background or in the wings waiting for positions is something we haven't seen in quite some time. So that's a nice thing. Turning to the state of overdoses, we have had 47 overdoses year-to-date as compared to 109 total last year, 6 of which were fatal as compared to 12 that were fatal last year. I just want to remind you of the retiree Christmas luncheon that the Laconia Police Department holds every year prior to Christmas. That will be held on December 20th at noon at the Laconia Police Department. Certainly would appreciate your attendance if you can make it. The city luncheon is scheduled for December 13th from noon to 1:30 at the Laconia Community Center. You're also invited to that as an appreciation that the city puts on for all employees. Tonight is the Citizen Police Academy graduation. Certainly a great program that takes a lot of work that Eric Adams has been heading up for the year, and certainly a good group. So we'll be having their graduation tonight. I had a meeting yesterday with Homeland Security and Senator Hassan's office. There was a bunch of people from her office and Homeland Security that came up from Washington, D.C. I was invited to attend the meeting in Concord with the Commissioner of Safety and a bunch of other people. So talking about just law enforcement in New Hampshire, resources, what law enforcement resources are needed, school emergency preparedness, and just intelligence gathering in general. So I think there was a lot that was accomplished, and certainly there'll be some further follow-up on that to come. Lastly, just want to recognize Philip Gamblin Sr., who passed away last Sunday, November 17th, at the hospital. He was 89 years old, lived here locally, and served some time as a police officer here in Laconia. Just want to recognize him for that. His call-in hours will be held on Friday at Wilkinson Bean from 11 to 1.
Chief, just want to go back to the overdose statistics for a second. I just wondered, we're really almost at a 50% drop in the number of overdose calls over the first 10 months of this year compared to last year. I'm just wondering if you, or the department knows, have we seen a corresponding reduction in the number of people attending the myriad of treatment facilities in the area? You know, have we seen a kind of a corresponding drop in the treatment side of the business? Do you know? You maybe not know that.
Yeah, I don't know what specific numbers. My sense is that it's pretty steady. Eric is, you know, always inundated with working with these people. And I think even though the numbers of overdoses, you have to be willing and wanting to help in order to receive it. And I think those numbers remain steady, despite the overdoses that are declining. Eric remains very busy every day working with different people. So I can get maybe get a better sense from him through the doorway at the hospital and see what their numbers are.
Was that called a hub program, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that they've seen over 100 people at this point. So my sense is that it's not, but I can get a better feel on that.
If there's been corresponding reduction in people attending the treatment facilities.
Yeah, I can get a better answer for you on that. But certainly encouraging news is at least the heroin overdoses are declining. Certainly this isn't a trend just in Laconia, this is statewide, New England-wide, East Coast-wide, actually. You know, it kind of ebbs and flows. We see a lot of heroin that was laced with fentanyl and stuff, and now it's switching a lot more to meth. So it's just a different product that we're seeing.
I think the commission recognizes the hard work that both of the captains have put forth, and you have our appreciation.
Thank you.
As you do. Old business. Nothing, chief?
Nothing?
New business.
Nothing?
And confirmation of the next meeting date, September 18th, December 18th. No conflicts. Other business.
Nothing?
Citizen comments.
Chairman, members of the commission, chief, captains, my name's Bruce Cheney. I'm the counselor for Ward 1 and the liaison, I think you all know, to the police commission. I want to be very popular with the administrative captain, so I've come with a few requests for information. I'd like to get some information on pedestrian accidents over perhaps a year's period of time. And I'll be very frank with you, the purpose for my request as it relates to the crosswalks is there's discussion in the council about putting these bump outs all over the area, and I have some reservations about those. My recollection of the number of people run down in crosswalks is sketchy at best. I suspect there haven't been a whole herd of people, but I think it would help if you could give me some numbers.
Just over the past year?
Yeah. If it's easy, maybe you could give me more time, but certainly a year would be helpful. The second request I have, and the second and third are actually the same sort of information, or can be done at the same time, and I'm sure some clerical person will hate me for this, but I'd like if possible, to get 3, preferably 6 months of actual patrol schedules. And by that, I mean, I don't want to see, all the information. What I'm looking for are those scheduled shifts that weren't covered. When you've been running light, on the midnight shift or whatever, those are the ones I want to look at. The chief and I have had several discussions. I suspect he may have talked to you folks a bit. I have some feelings about staffing levels, and I want to see what I can do about it, but I need some numbers to help me get there. And in conjunction with that, I would ask if you could provide me with a list of the months that you were at full staffing levels in the last, say, 2 years. That shouldn't be, I don't think, all that hard to do, but if you give it to a clerical person, it gets really easy. At least my memory seems to drift along those lines. So that's it. Those are my requests. I might come up with some more, but for the moment, those are the requests I have. They are asked for in the spirit of trying to help. I really am trying to help staffing issues. I'm thrilled to hear that you're going to be at full staff shortly, and the city needs a full staff, and maybe we need somewhat larger staff. That's what I'm hoping these numbers will do for me. And that's it, unless you have any questions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? See if we have a need for non-public?
We do. All right, in the non-public session, according to RSA 91-A:3, Section 2, matters which, if discussed in public, would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of this board, unless such person requests an open meeting. This exemption shall extend to include any application for assistance or tax abatement or waiver of fee, fine, or other levy if based on inability to pay or poverty of the applicant. So I'd like to make a motion that we enter a non-public session.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. On the motion made by Commissioner Tar and seconded by Commissioner Mello, and passed unanimously. In accordance with RSA 91A:32, the Laconia Police Commission will enter into non-public session at 3:23 PM.
Just give me a thumbnail sketch of the